Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Who's on First, the show. We have an exciting guest today, Christopher Cortez. He is the founder, CEO of Keep Pushing. And I'm gonna let him introduce himself to you. Say hello to the fans there.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me, Rob. Appreciate it. Yeah, Christopher Cortez, founder, CEO of Keep Pushing Clothing Company. Excited to be here. I'm also, full disclosure, how I fund my clothing company. I'm a real estate broker here in New York. So that's how it's getting started and how I'm able to venture out into this particular line.
Okay.
But again, Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. We like positivity. That's what we do here on the
that's
Who's
what this
on
is
First
about.
show.
Yeah,
That's right. Absolutely. So this is a show about baseball. We're gonna touch on it a little bit, come back to it. I
love baseball.
You're a New York guy. What's your favorite team?
Oh man, I might lose some people with this one, but I'm a New York Mets fan.
Wow.
Unfortunately, long-suffering Mets fan. I grew up in the '80s, and it's gonna hurt even more when I say I grew up in the Bronx in the '80s. But if you know baseball, you know in the '80s that just wasn't the Yankees' time. So I grew up around Strawberry, Hernandez, Darling, Dykstra, Wilson, McReynolds, all of those Mets, Rafael Santana. So that was the team that captured me as a kid, man.
Okay. Can you give me a favorite player on any?
Oh, that's easy. Ooh, that's easy. I'm a left. That's Darryl Strawberry. Easy. Easy. Right. I love Darryl Strawberry. That left-handed swing was almost, I don't want to sound sacrilegious, almost as sweet as Ken Griffey's. But yeah, Darryl Strawberry, the arm that he had out there, the way that that bat, he broke my heart when he went to LA, but by far my favorite, one of my favorite Mets.
Yeah, lefties always have a beautiful swing. I don't know why, they just always do. It's very rare you see a lefty with an ugly swing.
It's also rare. a lot of lefties like to stick to that uppercut swing, right? I mean, that's why the shift was invented, right? Because all those lefties like to pull the ball and swing for the fences, myself included. I was guilty when I was able to, I aging myself here, but when I was a young man and played some ball.
So where did you play ball? Where did you fall in love with the game?
Oh man, I fell in love when I was a kid. Bronx, New York, like I said, and we played almost wiffle ball almost every day. That's how we played, in the front of the building on Bronx Park South. We played wiffle ball, and of course, as you get older, you graduate, you get the glove, you get the hard ball, and you start to play with your friends, kind of like that sandlot ball. You go to the park, and you literally can try and play wherever you can play. But that was when I fell in love with the game as a kid. You just, you play the ball, you make up your own rules, whatever you can use as a base, whether it was a piece of cardboard or a handrail or whatever it was. So, the game of baseball was detrimental from youth, man. Definitely. That was definitely my first love in sports, regardless of football, basketball. It was baseball came first.
Right. It was one of those, just the other day I was at the supermarket, and I'm going back to my car, and I look in the little grassy area there where the carts are, and there's a little blue ball, and I'm like, wow, I haven't seen one of those in years. Oh my God.
Are you talking about a handball?
Yeah, the little blue handball. Yeah, and it was just
that's what you play stickball with, though. You play stickball in the streets with those bad boys,
right?
And they would go a mile.
Right. And then you play punch ball. We used to go and play punch ball on the basketball courts, or we would play on the stoop. You'd bounce the ball off the stoop, and it would go up, and you couldn't get past that last parked car, the bumper. You had to stay there, but you had to be careful.
Oh man, I can't remember what the name of that game was, though.
Stoop ball. We used to call it stoop ball.
You'd bang it off the floor. Right. Yes. All right. Yeah. And then if it went over the car, it was a home run. You're good.
Right. It was a home run. Yeah. Right. And we was keeping tabs. Oh yeah. We got one out, runner at second, runner at third. We got, hey, get that home run. Get that home run.
I would say I'm aging myself, but the white on my face already says it all.
Oh man. I mean, we played 6-7 innings, and the scores would be like 49 to 47. You'd be like, oh, come on, one more inning. Nah, we're not playing no more. run one and
Yeah,
stuff. So it was hilarious.
it's
So I
crazy
mean,
though.
go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you were gonna say, like where you fell in love with the game. And I
right.
fell in love as a kid. And like I said, it was all I wanted to play. And I only played, and this is a true story. I only played sandlot type baseball until I got to high school. And I never played organized ball until I got to high school. It was when and it was funny because I remember the coach coming up to me and asking me, what league I played in, who I played with, and I'm like, never played 1 minute of organized baseball in my life until I got to high school. And as a freshman, that street ball, I made the varsity team as a freshman and continued, all 4 years of high school as a varsity baseball player, which was crazy for when you think about somebody who never played a minute of organized baseball in little league or anything until getting to that particular point. I'm sorry, what were you gonna ask?
No. You're fine. It's just like I don't know. It's like my little brother. Me and my older brother, we were always tough on him, and he was the little runt, and we used to beat up on him. But when he started playing ball, it was just like we were like, wow, this my brother's good. We were like, wow. I
All of
think
a
out of
sudden,
the
you couldn't beat up on him anymore. You
yeah,
had
you
to give him
couldn't
a
beat
little bit
up
of
on
respect.
right, and he 5 years old, 6 years old, and he's hitting a 12-year-old fastball. You know what I
There
mean?
you
So
go.
it's and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on a second. This kid's got a little something here. He's probably the best baseball player out of all three of us. And it doesn't say much, but it says a lot to us
Well,
anyway.
I was just gonna say, you wanted to go from giving him wedgies to like, oh my God, let's go continue to practice and see what we
Yeah,
got here.
I remember when he was playing t-ball, and I turned around and he was getting up to bat, and I said, "Come on, I dare you to hit it over my head." Oh, he hit a home run, and I was just like, "Whoa!" And I
That's
looked
not
up and I
something you
saw
could
it.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Ah," he's running around the bases like a madman, and I'm like, "Wow, it's
Yeah,
amazing."
well, especially when you challenge the youngest, they always have something to prove. So
Right,
they want to make sure that they stand out because
right,
you older folk were always overlooking them a little bit. So
right. So I mean, like, what position did you play at in high
center
school?
field, center
Okay,
field, and right. I was not the fastest, but I could track the ball down. So I think, and of course, being a lefty, and having a little bit of pop, even though I'm only 5 foot nothing, I'm 5 foot
right,
8 or something like that, and that's being generous.
right.
But that's what I played, and I also pitched. And when we were growing up, you played multiple positions. So I pitched, I played center, I played a little bit of right, and that was what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a straight catcher, straight up and down catcher. I was a little timid in the beginning, and I think by the end of me playing pony ball, my dad was
Oh, you
like,
got to be a
"You're
leader as a catcher. Yeah.
well." He was like, "Listen, you're a little psychotic sometimes." He goes, "You're a freaking nut." He's like, "You're screaming on the first pitch, like I don't." He goes, "Calm down," and I'm like, "I don't care. I want this and I want that." He was just like, "Whoa,"
Wait. Who called you psychotic?
my dad, he's like, "You're freaking psycho." He was like, "You're nuts." Pablo C. He's like, "This kid," he goes, "What are you doing?"
That's
He
funny.
goes, "The first pitch, you jump up screaming." And I'm like, because he's throwing strikes and the warming up, and all of a sudden the first pitch goes high and away, and you're looking to go, "What the hell are you doing? Put it down
Well,
the pipe."
listen,
It's just like,
that's yeah, things change when the lights go on. I mean, practice is different from the actual game. You can be a practice player, but the minute it counts, all of a sudden there's a different
yeah,
mindset. So I think that you have to maintain that focus, and once
mhm.
you're able to do that and harness that, then you can go ahead and start to utilize or demonstrate what you do in practice into the game.
Right. Okay. So, what lessons have you taken away from the game that you use in your everyday life nowadays?
Oh man, the biggest lesson that I can take from baseball, and I tell everybody this, is you're gonna fail. I mean, baseball is a game of failure. If you fail 70% of the time as a hitter, you're a multimillionaire times God knows. I mean,
Right,
if you bat 300 and that's a hit out of 3 hits out of every 10 at bats, you're 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 a Hall of Famer. You're not only a multimillionaire, but you're a Hall of Famer. So it's really like and again, kind of going in line with the company and what you talk about, that lesson that you take out of with baseball, it's like, you're gonna fail, but it's that old saying, and I don't want to use cliches, but it's not how many times you get knocked down. You got to get up, refocus, regroup, and show that determination to the world. And in baseball, again, good thing is that you can be 0 for 4, and you come up in the bottom of the ninth, runner on third, 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. You get that hit, nobody's going to remember 0 for 4. What everybody's going to remember, you got a single to win the game, you got a double, you got whatever you did, they're going to remember that your hit won that game.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about baseball. That's one of the life lessons that you take, is that you have to consistently take advantage of every opportunity that you have, or try and create an opportunity, because you can go up there with 3 balls, 2 strikes, runner on third, and instead of swinging, you lay down a bunt and try and shock the hell out of everybody, and then take off and see what happens. So
Right.
you gotta you never give up. That's one of the things I take out of baseball, and that's one of the life lessons. Like I said, you fail 7 out of 10 times and you're golden. And even as a pitcher, I mean, you can, and I pitched for a little bit, wasn't that great, obviously, but I pitched for a little bit, and there's nothing like having that ball in your hand. Like that ball's in your hand every single pitch. Like you're not standing around trying to keep warm or loose or whatever. You're looking to strike out the other guy, or you're looking to get him to ground out, pop out, or whatever. So again, it's such a competitive game. I know that we might not have the same following and enthusiasm in today's kids, and it's a shame, but there's a lot of lessons to learn in that game.
Right. I tell the kids, every strike will get you closer to that next home run. You just got to keep going at it, and eventually, as they say, a blind mouse finds a piece of cheese once in a while. Eventually, you don't even have to swing.
Blind squirrel finds a nut.
That's right. You don't have to swing. You just put that bat out there, and eventually the ball will hit the bat, and something's gonna happen.
And you don't even have to swing that hard. So, like you said, yep.
I had a kid one time, and he was upset. I was umpiring a baseball game, and he was upset, and he's like, he was walking by me. I said, "What's the matter? You went, 0 for 4. What happened to you today?" He goes, "Oh, you struck me out 4 times." I said, "I struck you out 4 times?" I said, "Wow, listen, I'm gonna give you a secret. You'll never strike out again. Listen to this. You ready?" And I go, "Hit the ball." And he said, "Oh." I said, "See if," he goes, "What if I ground out to the third baseman?" "Yeah, but you didn't strike out. See what I'm talking about? You put the ball in play."
It's so funny, but so wrong.
It's so
it is a lesson though. I guarantee you he'll never forget that.
They turn around and they say, "Well, the umpire struck me out 4 times." I said, "Listen, I wasn't the one throwing the ball at the guy over there. You get mad at me, get mad at him. Next time you come up and you take a swing, you'll be all right." So
I can't. Your job is super hard. I can't imagine walking to your car and people giving you a hard time about that as well.
I've got some interesting stories on that one too.
Oh man, there's some psychotic parents out there in the world who think that their kids are Babe Ruth. I mean, my son plays AAU basketball, and you would think you would literally, like, parents lay down thousands of dollars on these games the way that they behave.
Oh,
that's probably a different story.
A different story. So you had an interesting story about you was at Arizona and on vacation, some house hunting story, and you were at a player's house.
So I ended up. So it's funny. Yeah. Wow. I didn't know you knew about that one. You have sources in well placed areas. So we went to an open house last week, and the very first house that we went into, and the minute we get into the house, so you open the door and there's a room to your immediate right. And I walk in and there's this guy's photo on the wall. And I'm like, man, this dude looks familiar. And it hit me. I'm like, babe, this is Kevin Plawecki. And she's like, who the hell is Kevin Plawecki? I'm like, he used to play baseball for the Mets. He was in the farm system. He came up. He was at one time, he was a big catching prospect. And she looks at me and she's like, shut the F up. And I'm like, what do you mean shut the F up? I'm dead serious. This is Kevin Plawecki's house. That's his photo, unless this is his parents' house. So sure enough, we walk into the next room over, which is kind of like a den. And lo and behold, his New York Mets jersey is just right there, bang, on the wall. And the agent who was hosting the open house confirmed it. He's like, yeah, this is Kevin's house. Him and his wife are having another house built somewhere else in Arizona. So they're selling that. But it was insane to walk into a major, because he still plays Major League Baseball. He's with the Boston Red Sox right now.
Okay.
So it's really weird to walk into a Major League Baseball player's home, and it was a modest but beautiful home. I'll say that. But it was very strange to walk in. On top of that, of all players or all teams that this guy could play for, he played for the New York Mets, which is the team, that I've lived and died with since I was a child. Unfortunately, I've died more than I've lived with them.
Figure.
But that was the interesting story. I mean, again, I know that he's bounced around a little bit. I think he played for Arizona for a little while, but now he's with Boston. And that was my interesting story, walking into a pro baseball player's house in Arizona, not having any idea, and then sounding like a complete baseball geek to the agent. I'm sure he's probably like, please get this crazy guy out of here. He can go now. Yes, it's a baseball player's house. Please leave me alone.
I actually have two stories similar. We were up in Cooperstown, and I got to meet one of my idols, Pete Rose. And
he's not in the Hall of Fame is a travesty, but go ahead. That's a different show, right?
That's a different show. So we're sitting there, and I'm like staring at him, and I'm like a 14-year-old girl that just got an iPhone. I'm like, oh my God, this is, so he goes, and I said, Pete, can I get an autograph? So he gives me the autograph, and I was like, can I get a picture? And the security was, no pictures, And I was like,
wow.
Man. I was like, can I, is there any way I can get a picture, please? And I stepped to the side, and he goes, listen, kid, I'll write something on the ball. What do you want me to write? And I said, well, what's there to write? You're the hit king, 4256. What's there to write? I don't know. You're the hit man. So he turns around and he goes, oh, you know the number? I said, of course I know the number. Are you kidding me? So I'm sitting there, and he goes, okay. He put hit king 4256, and I'm just in awe of this baseball. And I'm like, Pete, come on, please. There's no way I can get a picture. That's this one up
Where
here.
is it? There
that
it
one
is.
up
See,
there.
I knew I was saying, so I knew it had to be up there.
So I'm sitting there, and I look at him, and I tell my son, my son's 14 years old at the time, and I said, Mitchell, this is Pete Rose. And he goes, yeah, Dad, I know. And I'm like, no, Poppy, you don't understand. It's Pete Rose. And he goes, Dad, I know. And Pete Rose is looking at me, he's looking at him, and he goes, it's okay. I was like, no, Pete, he knows you. I've showed him all his videos. Hold on, wait a minute. I said, Mitchell, this is Charlie Hustle. He goes, oh, you almost killed the catcher in the All-Star game. I was like, see, I told you. And he smiled, and I said, don't worry, Pete, we'll get you in the All-Star. We'll get you in the Hall of Fame one way or the other. He said, most likely it's going to be the other. And I said, yeah, you're probably right. But I was like, we'll try,
You got a bunch of hypocrites there who sit on their moral high ground and keep him out, for a mistake that he made. That's, like I said, that's a different story.
That's a whole different story.
There's just no way. The short version, like I said, bunch of hypocrites who are, again, putting themselves above everyone else when it's, right. I mean, the dude, it's almost not a Hall of Fame without him in it because of his accomplishments as a player.
There's another one that hasn't been put in, and is Thurman Munson, which is another surpriser to me. And I was a former Yankee fan. I'm not a anybody fan since '94 when they canceled the World Series.
Okay. The strike, got it.
Right, and that kind of like toasted me. I'm like, I don't
so
think
that jaded you to a point where you didn't even follow a team anymore.
No, I don't follow a team anymore. I became an umpire fan. Those guys, they strive for 100% every game and make nowhere near what the $1 million baseball players do.
I get that. But if I have to say this, I'll look into the camera for this one. Angel Rodriguez, I hate you.
Oh, Angel Fernandez. Fernandez.
I hate you.
Wow.
You suck, dude.
Wow. That's a big...
that dude is terrible, and not just for Met games. He's just, man. I don't know how he's in the game still, but yes,
Yeah,
Fernandez.
that's a
Yeah.
whole different monster within itself.
But that's interesting though, that you actually follow or like Empires. It's funny though, you say that they don't make nearly as much, which is, I'm 100% sure, but some of these guys have other careers. And
Oh yeah, I've met doctors, lawyers. I've
yeah,
met, guys that real estate people. I've met doctors, professors.
that's
it's,
me,
yeah,
the real estate
and
guy.
they do really. As a matter of fact, Ed Hickok, he's a former major league umpire. I'm not sure if he's still in the major leagues,
In the game.
but he was a detective at the
Stop it.
Flagler Beach Police Department. He is a
Wow.
detective at the Flagler Beach, the police department. I have a picture of me and him standing there, and he's got his badge and he's
Wait, so
pulling out his
time out.
handcuffs. Yeah.
How does that work? How does that work? He's like, listen, I have a case that I need to work, but I gotta go on the road to Empire this game.
You know what? We never really got into it, but I mean, and some of those guys, they're big college guys. So in the off season, they do some, winter baseball for college also.
That's
so I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, I went to Major League Umpire School. I was with Harry Wendelstatz. I spent 5 weeks over there, and they did basically umpire boot camp to us. So if you were in the military and you understand boot camp, they did the same thing to us. They broke us down. They made us feel like a bunch of misfit toys. Right? Yeah, guys were quitting. People were upset. I got injured twice. I mean, and they were
injured in baseball school. Look at
yeah, well,
Umpire.
I mean, you have to do a certain pivot coming off of first base, and I injured my knee, and I jammed it up, and I bruised the cartilage inside, so it was hard for me to squat, bend, and really run. And boy, I tell you,
did they belittle you even then?
Like no, I was injured, but it was like you couldn't do if you can't do the work, you get a 0. It's like in school, you don't hand in the homework. Guess what? You get a 0. So it's like, guy, you got to get on the field. Well, I came off one day and my head was hanging low, and I'm like, I'm going to get a 0 for the week. And my roommate was like, listen, we're going to fix up your knee. Well, ace bandage, duct tape, a brace, and more duct tape. And I was hobbling around that field like a wounded duck. And
come on.
Guess what?
Duct tape.
That duct tape my knee. Oh, absolutely. Had to get on the field, man. But let's get back to so where did Keep Pushing come from? Where did this eureka moment come from?
Oh, well, the eureka moment. So you want to know when the name of the company was born?
Right.
If I'm being truthful, the name it's been a mantra of mine. The way that it's almost what I live by. Keep pushing, but I remember that's a great question, and I remember the moment I first said keep pushing, and I was in Boston. I was working in finance. I wasn't a real estate professional at the time, and I was working at Harvard University, and I was in the car with a old friend of mine. Funny enough, his last name is Rivera, Frank Rivera, one of the most talented designers in clothing and everything else, hip hop culture, you name it. One of the most talented individuals I've ever met in my life. And I have the privilege of saying I know as a friend. And we were in his car and we were driving into Boston. We were talking about the fact that we were both making really good money doing what we do. Frank was a creative director at Boylston Trading Company, if I recall that correctly. And I was a senior manager of finance at Harvard University. And there was still making good money. We're still struggling financially. And we were in the car and I said, he had a company. I said, you know what? All I have to do is, I don't have a choice. I have to keep pushing. And from that moment, and that was years ago. And from that moment, that's where the name of the company, that moment stood with me for years. And I actually incorporated or did the LLC for Keep Pushing about 2.5 years ago. So it was always something that I wanted to do. I was at Harvard, let's say maybe my son is 12. So I use that as the math, maybe 8 years ago, when from that moment where I said, oh, I don't have a choice, I have to keep pushing, to the moment that I actually created the company and did the LLC and did all the work behind it. it was a good probably 6 years. And that's where the name of the company came. But the company is so much more than a clothing or a hat that we have coming. This is this is this is about a way of life for so many of us, where 2% of the people make 100% of the money. It just doesn't. There's so many of us in this world that are struggling financially, emotionally, in one way, shape, or form. We're struggling, or we're on a career path and we keep getting knocked down, or we keep running into some sort of red tape because there's some sort of politics involved that prevent you from reaching a promotion, or if you want to create something, someone who has a friend is going to put their friend before you. Again, like politics of the world. And it's meant to inspire people to regardless of what adversity you face, push past it. Don't give up on your dream because some asshole, part of my language, I'm not sure if we're allowed to curse on this here, if some person who is stonewalling you, for lack of a better term, don't let one person, or even 10 people, if 10 people tell you no, go to that 11th person. If that 11th person tells you no, go to that 12th, and keep going until you find the person who's going to give you the chance to do what it is that you want to do. I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time up here.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's my wife is a great example of keep pushing it professionally. She is incredibly intelligent and does not give herself nearly enough credit. And she was running practices, again, let's just say for years before she was actually given the opportunity to actually run a practice. And she's only been doing it, and now she runs multiple practices. And now she might be on the verge, she'll kill me if I say this, but she might be on the verge of something even bigger in her professional career. And it's all because one person interviewed her, and that one person finally said, I don't care if you have a college degree or not. You have the experience, you have the qualifications. I'm going to give you that opportunity that you've been denied for far too long. And she took that opportunity and grand slam, to use a baseball term. Like,
right.
She's probably one of their best hires ever. And so that's what the company is really about. There's very few apparel companies, athletic companies that want to focus on that particular type. Everybody wants to get their hat on a celebrity, or they want to pay somebody to endorse their brand. Maybe with God's will, I'll get there one day, but I don't want the message of my company to get lost. And the message of my company is to look into adversity, spit in its face if you have to, and find the opportunity that in your heart you were meant to accomplish. There's so many of us who succumb to exterior pressure, or we surround ourselves with the wrong individuals, where you know how many I never told anybody, even my wife. I didn't even tell her when I created the company, when I did the LLC, and I went on to LegalZoom, and I did all the paperwork, and I paid for everything. She found out when I got my binder, when I got the paperwork that everything was official. That's when I gave it to her. I wish I had somebody who I could have said, listen, I'm thinking about starting my own clothing company. This is the thought process behind it. I probably would have had a bunch of people who told me, you're out of your mind. Why are you doing that? Right. You don't know what you're doing. You're not in fashion. You're not a designer. You don't know anything about it. Instead of somebody that says, man, that sounds interesting. Tell me a little bit more about it. And if you can fuel somebody's creative passion, or again, like if you want it to be an empire, you know what I'm saying? And you had an opportunity, whether it's a major like Division I college, or even the major leagues, and somebody put you on that path, and that was what you really wanted to do, that one, again, all you needed was that one person to provide that opportunity. And I want to inspire people to keep searching for that one opportunity until they get it. And then if they don't get it, there's times now where you can create your own opportunities with the internet and everything that's going on nowadays, whether it's YouTube or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever video platform or social media platform. So I'm sorry, that's a really long-winded way of me. You can tell, like, when you asked me about the company, this is my baby.
No,
This
I
is what
enjoy the passion, man. I really enjoy the passion. It's
yeah,
exactly what I'm looking for. It's exactly what we've been talking about. I have a
yeah,
similar story where, for me to get down to Florida, I had to transfer from my job, and people were telling me there's no way you're going to do it. There's no way, they're not going to take it. There's
that,
no way.
that's terrible,
20
man.
27 applications. And it took one person who actually took my resume and matched it up against 3 other candidates and said, hey, you know what? You're the best candidate for the job. Here's the job. And I was like, wow. And to this day, every time I see her, I say, hey, boss lady, how you doing? And I first thing I told her when she offered me the job, I said, listen, I will never let you down. And there's been a couple of times where she said, hey, I need you, Rob. I need you to do this. I need you to take care of that right away. Right away. No problem. She's not even my boss anymore. She said, hey, she'll call me up and, hey, Rob, I need this, that, and the other thing. No problem. I'll get it for you. I'll take care of it. I'll look into it. It's that, and that right there will get people to work for you. You give them a fair opportunity to turn around and say, hey, this resume is the best resume. I don't care if it says John Doe, if it says Jane Doe, if it says Bill, Harry, whoever. This is the best.
Exactly.
This is the best person for the job.
Hundreds. So, like, one of the things, and again, companies don't do this. One of the things when we have our corporate offices, because we will have our corporate offices, I will get us to start competing with bigger boys, in baby steps. But when I have my corporate offices and I'm walking into my office building and I see people working at their desks and doing whatever it is that they do for the company, one of the things that I want to do, and I feel it's my responsibility, especially with this particular company and this message that I'm sending and that I want to exude, is I want to tell all of my employees, human resources is responsible maybe twice a year. If you have an idea, bring it to human resources. And I want you to propose that idea. And then I want to see if we can help you flourish that idea. If I could take somebody who maybe in accounting and they hate their accounting job, they don't want to do accounting, but they have an idea for something else that they have a passion for, and I can be of assistance to help you with that. That's helping somebody. That's making somebody's life better. That's creating another entrepreneur, and that person might go on to create another company and create other opportunities for
Right.
other people. So all of a sudden, we go from hating waking up in the morning and getting on the train and going to a job that we don't want to do, to looking forward to going to work and saying, what opportunity can I actually get today, or what opportunity might be available to me today. And you know what? Some people might be fine with getting up and going to a job 9 to 5, go home, done. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want more, and if you feel like you have an entrepreneurial spirit or an idea or a product or service, I want to be able to fuel that. I don't want to suppress that. And I feel like so many people in this world are suppressed. And like you said, that one woman will always have your undivided loyalty and attention. If she needs something, you will get it done. And
Absolutely.
and I think that there's so much negativity in this world that if we imagine a world where we all helped each other, what the hell would that look like?
Yeah.
How far would we be as people if we didn't see color, if we didn't see race, if we didn't see religious differences, if we let people be who they are and just focused on making the world a better place, or instead of focusing on minor differences and judging people, if we all had common goals, I don't even know where we would be as a society or even as a world, as a planet. It'd
Okay.
be it'd be amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you feel, do you feel like we've become a nation of negativity? We focus a lot on negativity.
I feel that not so much negativity, but I think we're too hyper focused um, on what the old narrative used to be. So, the old narrative would be you go to college, you get a piece of paper, you
Get a
get
job.
a good job, and that's it. They want you to become part of this machine and this cog, and I don't think that that's the same way that we need to live today. And on top of that, I mean, I have family members who have that piece of paper and they're still paying for that piece of paper. That's ridiculous.
Oh, they're still
So you're
paying.
you're 40 something years old and you're paying for something that you did 20 years ago. Come on. So that's why they want you to go to college and become part of that machine, because you're forever, every month, a portion of your earnings is going into somebody else's pocket. And these university presidents and directors and everybody give themselves nice bonuses at the end of the year. Thank you very much. Goodbye and good luck. And if you die, there'll be somebody right there to take your place. Bang, like clockwork.
Absolutely.
So it's not so much focused on negativity. I just think that there's not enough. And again, everybody might kill me for this. I don't feel like there's enough, not positive. There's not enough support behind different type of thinking, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
Right. So, I mean, are you looking to do other items besides like hats? Are you looking at shirts, pants, sneakers?
Everything. Yeah. So we
Okay.
have, funny enough, yesterday I met with a manufacturer in New York City. So we will have samples within 3 weeks now, as opposed to almost 2 months. We also have samples coming in from overseas, but with COVID happening and there being shortage on materials, it's delayed the overseas order. So I met with a local vendor in New York City. So we have t-shirts, hoodies for the fall. We have Scully hats, winter hats coming.
Right.
There'll be sweatpants, there'll be basketball shorts. But eventually I'm also going to venture out. There'll be some polo shorts, rather shirts. It's not just going to be strictly athletic wear. I want to be able to create a little bit of everything. From, like I said, polo and tennis gear to, who knows, maybe one day I do a nice button-up collar shirt that you can wear with a tie and a little KP on the side.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it'll definitely be much more than hats. But hats are the for a lot of the time, depending on how you dress. Obviously, if you're casual, that could be that finishing touch. So
Right.
you get dressed and the last thing you throw on is a crisp
Yeah.
hat, whether it's a
That's
snapback, a fitted. You throw it on. It's the very last thing you might. We've heard of sneakerheads. I'm a hat head. I don't know how many hats I have in my closet. So
my wife got me a 30 bag capacity hat holder that I drive her nuts because I never put the hats in there. And
exactly, yeah. I have
I'm
curly hats. I have other brands, but now, since I've started my own, obviously I have samples in there that are. My wife is, like you said, she's probably going to get me that bag you're talking about.
all right. Well, remember me. Look, I got a blank one here. I got
Oh
this one
no,
here.
I'll get it to you, man.
Put a
Just give me your
KP in there.
address.
We got to put
Listen,
a little KP in there.
I'll get it to you. Just get me the address. This is like I said, this is the newest one. The
Right.
one that you've seen probably online has a larger crown, so it
Right.
sits a little higher. So
Right.
these are a smaller crown, and they probably fit more people a little bit better. So
Right.
that's why this is part of the second go round, and
Right.
the fitted as well. So the one that I'm literally wearing right now will be part of the second order, and then there's an all black fitted that will be part of that second order as well. And then, of course, the samples we should have in about 3 weeks. So you give me your address and I'll send you whatever you want, man.
All
Just
right,
wear
you
it on
got
your podcast.
it. You got it. All right.
Free of
So I mean,
charge. Where do you see podcast?
where do you see keep pushing in about 5 or 10 years?
Competing with the icons in this industry. And I mean, icons, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Reebok, Puma, Converse, icons. I want my
Right.
brand to be in that same breath. I
Right.
want, I want us, and there's so many different ideas that I feel will make Keep Pushing operate differently from these other organizations. I mean, I just gave you one idea, what I said when I walk into the corporate office, and trying to encourage someone else's ideas, and maybe eventually they become their own boss and move on to their own company. But one of the things that we want to do, that also makes us different, is eventually, once we're profitable and making a little bit of money, is I want to start partnering with different causes, whether that's a cause such as No Kid Go Hungry, or St. Jude's, or the American Heart Association. I want to partner with causes like that, and have be able, if you're going onto the website, I want you to be able to go on and say, I want this hat, and I want a portion of the sale or the proceeds to go to this. So if you're paying $29.99 for a hat, maybe I donate 5%, 10%, 15% as we get bigger to the cause of your choosing as a person. So it's personal to you. You're
Right.
supporting something that has directly impacted your life in one way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And I think that again, that's something different, where again, people are helping people. So they're helping us obviously as a company, and they're helping us stay in business and buying some of the product, and apparel. And at the same time, we're taking that sale, and you're donating a portion of that to a cause that's personal to you. I prefer it to be, those causes that are, what do you call it? That 100% of the donation goes directly to the cause, not, a portion, and then a portion of it goes into someone else's pocket. But that's
Right.
details. I
Right.
apologize. But those are some of the things that I want my company to do and do differently. And that's where I see us in 5 to 10 years. That's where if I'm not there, then I did something wrong at some point,
Yeah.
or I pissed someone off.
Right. It reminds me of the Bamba. Was it Bamba? The socks that they
Yeah, the socks company.
every sock you buy, they donate a pair of socks, and they said that was one of the biggest complaints that the homeless people had, was they needed socks and
Yeah.
went to
Well, it's
change.
also, I think Tom's did that too. Tom's, the shoe company, they would donate shoes to countries that needed that as well. So yeah,
Right.
it's very much in line with something like that. I just want to be able to inspire people, and to also really help people, not give somebody $5 and then let them spend $5 and never see them again. I want to be able to actually help somebody. If you give somebody $5, you really didn't help them. You maybe put a meal in their mouth,
Right.
but
Right.
that was about it.
So if so basically what you basically want people to take away every time they see one of your hats is that you're changing lives, right? That's what you're looking to do.
Not just me, but they are as well with that purchase.
Okay. All
So
right.
by buying that hat, by buying that t-shirt, by buying those shorts, they're also helping make a difference, because they know that, again, the company has to get to a particular point, but from that point moving forward, as a consumer, if I click on this particular item and I buy it, portion of this 5%, 10%, 15, whatever the percentage is, went to American Heart Association, or went
Right.
to No Kid Go Hungry, or went
Right.
to whatever. And not
Right.
just, and I want to do it that way, because there will be people who will say, oh, well, you're exposing, or you're trying to, that's how you're trying. No, that's why I want to do it this way, because I genuinely want to have money given to these particular, and not charities, but causes, without trying to, cheapen or not only the brand, but also maybe the motive behind the brand.
Yeah.
It's literally just about trying to help and do the right thing. And I know
Right.
that might be a very foreign concept nowadays.
Yeah, doing the right thing it's amazing. We were in the town, and me and my son, my daughter, and my dad were having breakfast, and there was a lady that had come in. She sat down next to us, and she was looking at the menu, and she kept on looking in her purse and looking at the menu and looking in her purse, and she kept on asking the girl, "How much is this? And how much is that? And how much is this?" And she's like, "Oh." all right, and she's like, and I'm like, I told my dad, I said, she really stressed for money. She's really looking for something to eat.
You're already breaking my heart. Yeah.
Yeah. So I turn around and I grab the waitress and I say, listen, just give her whatever she wants. I got it. Tell her it's on the house. Don't worry about it. Well, she ordered a coffee and dry toast. And the girl goes, listen, you can get whatever you want. It's taken care of. And she's like, what? And it's like, she couldn't believe it. And she's like, I can. And she's like, well, can I get 2 eggs? And she goes, yeah, you want bacon? She goes, oh yeah, sure. And she goes, would you like eggs? And you want
That's
this? You want?
amazing.
And then she was like, really? And she's looking around. And I just look over and I smile at her. And she goes, somebody paid for my breakfast. And I'm like, wow, that's really nice. I'm like, oh, and my son's sitting there and he's just like, he's confused, like what's going on here? So then I tell the girl, I said, hey, listen, if she wants a burger or something for the road, get her something else. And the lady, she's like, yeah, well, can I get a tuna fish sandwich? And gave her the tuna fish sandwich, and she's finishing her coffee. And I'm looking at her, and she goes, I don't know. Somebody paid for it. And she's looking around, and she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah. I said, wow, that's really nice. Well, enjoy your food. Don't worry about it. Somebody paid for it. It's really nice. And she was like, yeah. And she gets up and she walks and she's looking around the diner and she just couldn't figure out, like, and when we were leaving, I could see the puzzled look on my son's face. And he's just like, Dad, but why didn't you tell her it was you? And I was like, did she really need to know? I was
Right.
like,
It
it
didn't
was the
matter
right
as
thing
long
to
as
do. She was hungry.
yes.
That's the end of the sentence. There's nothing else to do. And my
That's
dad
amazing.
he had this stupid little grin on his face. And all day he was just like, I'm proud of you.
I was just gonna say that
I'm,
grin was I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of
That's
you. Look,
exactly what that grin
I'm
was.
proud of you. He knew he raised me right, So I mean,
Exactly.
changing lives, and there's a beautiful song. If you ever want to look into it, it's by the Newsboys, and it's called That's How You Change the World. And it's a Christian rock group. It's a really great song, and it's basically just saying, we can change the world by just with a simple smile, a hello, opening a door, a
A
waving
random
at
act of kindness.
right,
Yeah.
random act of kindness, just a hey, how you doing? What's going on? How you doing today? Hello. Sometimes people are walking around, nobody's talked to them in weeks, and they're walking around, lost, looking for somebody to say hello to them. And you say good morning or something, and they're like, oh, hi, how are you? It's just
I'm not
it,
invisible. Yeah.
right. You make them feel like a person just for a moment, human being.
Yeah. But
It's
isn't it crazy that I mean we're 2021 and that's still an issue?
yeah. Well, and
I
and
mean,
it's something that we bring back to baseball. Just like you said, that person who was 0 for 4 and all of a sudden he gets a base hit and he wins the game. Does anybody remember the 0 for 4? No, he became a person again. He's back alive. I'm back. I did it.
yeah.
And it's one of those type of deals.
And then he's going to take that into the next game and he might go 4 for 4 because
Right.
all of a sudden you have that confidence and you feel good about yourself,
Right.
and it's sad that in this day and age, like you said, we're still so far behind as in the way that we treat each other. And it's disheartening in some instances.
Well, this is why we have baseball, and it levels the field. And it's like the game that I always say, no matter how big you are, how small you are, you could be 200 pounds, you could be 90 pounds. You can play second base for the Red Sox. I forgot the gentleman's name. He's
Pedroia.
Pedroia. I mean, look at that guy was high school team, too small, too this, too that.
Yeah,
And look what he
Dustin
wanted to
Pedroia.
be.
Yeah, man.
He wound up winning a couple of rings.
World Series champion. Yeah.
World Series champion, all-star, the whole bit. And then you get, the big unit, big tall guys, 6'7",
Jesus, you literally went from David and Goliath.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's the game that the odds are evened, by a man's, they look at all these statistics and you look at numbers. And I had a discussion one time with Brian Kenny, and Brian Kenny is a big numbers guy. And I was like, Brian, what the numbers, man? I got numbers in baseball. To me is Sudoku. It's not baseball. It's not, well, this guy's batting 308 against lefties and 309 against righties. And I was like, that's not the way it is. Sometimes you can turn around and you put whoever you want on that mound. I'm gonna get up there. If I could foul them off, I'm gonna rip them. And that's the way I saw it. I don't care who you put up there. And yeah, he said, but sometimes you really need those statistics, you know. But I always say baseball is a game of heart. You know, it's how much heart you have. You know, you don't have to be talent. You have to have some kind of talent. But if you can harness the talent and then get the
With the will.
gusto, yeah, the
Yeah.
will to say, hey, listen, nothing's gonna stop me. I'm going through this and get it done. I'm getting to AAA. I'm getting to the majors. I'm getting into the show. You know, and sometimes you have to be a little crazy, cocky, but you got to be humble all at the same time. And it's a hard mixture, you know?
Yeah, you have to have that determination, 100%. Yeah,
Absolutely. And that's where the keep pushing is coming from. But I was
exactly.
looking at the logo the other day and I said, wow, yeah. I said, if you look at the K, it's actually like it's poking the P to move. Come on, let's go. Let's poke and move.
Well, the K, it's funny that the gentleman, I didn't design it. So I had a number of different options to choose from. And he told me when he designed this particular KP, the arrow is pushing forward. It's
Right.
pointing forward, and not so much against the P, but it's pointing in the direction of let's go. Let's move forward. Let's you
Right.
know. So yeah, there is kind of that aspect into the logo. Yeah, that's a good eye that you got there.
You know, as catchers, we see everything. Everything's in front of us anyway. So,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So, my curveball question of the day: you had a chance to sit anywhere in a stadium, in any stadium in the world, and where would you want to sit?
Where in the stadium?
Yeah.
I think I'd want to stand behind the catcher.
You want to be a blue? Oh,
No, no. If you had
welcome!
a chance to sit,
Congratulations.
but if you maybe I'm misunderstanding the question, but if I had a
If you
chance to
want to
sit in the stadium
sit in the
and
stadium, you
observe the
could
game,
watch the game.
I,
Absolutely,
I want to sit right behind home plate, man,
right behind home plate.
because the whole game is right in front of you, and you get to see the pitcher, you get to see the catcher, you get to see the swing, the crack of the bat, and more importantly, one of the things I miss the most about the game, you might get to smell the field and the clay and that brings back that nostalgia that, you know, when you were a kid and you played the game for the pure joy. That yeah, I would want to sit not in right field, not in left center. I would want to sit right behind home plate and be able to just kind of see every angle. Like when that ball cracks off the bat, if it's driven to third, if it's driven to first, the play that the player makes, or if it gets by them. Yeah, that's where I would want to sit, man.
Yeah, I was always I always wanted to stay close to the game. It's one of the
Yeah.
reasons that turned me on to umpiring. You know, I was on the field, I was in the action, but I really wasn't in the action because, you know, as they say in the movies, you know, we're all told you can't play the kids game anymore. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe 20 years from now, but you're all told. And at one point, I was like, listen, there's no more baseball in me. So how do I stay close to the game that I love so much without playing it? And it was umpiring it. And it gave me the same thing that I always strive for, which is perfection. It's you know, you always want to be 4 for 4. You always wanted to, you know, pick off every single runner that ran on you. You always wanted, you know, perfect strikes. You want 27 up, 27 down. You always strive for that. And that gave me that little fire. It gave me that little more knowledge of the game. And it's the best thing my dad ever told me was when I came back from pro school was you have way more knowledge than most people know. And the best thing you could do is take some of that knowledge and just put it in your back pocket and only pull it out when you need it, because everything else is going to be like you're showing it off, you know? So, I mean, I have way more knowledge than most people have. And I see a lot more stuff. And not in defense of Angel Hernandez, I know your favorite umpire, but the other day he did call a balk, and I was like, oh, Angel Hernandez, he called a balk. I'm like, and I went and I replayed it, and I looked and I was like, well, I'll be darned. It was a damn balk. It was a balk. I couldn't say anything. I said, boy, this guy, he got it. He got it.
I'm not saying he's wrong all the time. I'm saying he's wrong when it counts.
Well, one time I was umpiring a college game, and the guy goes, I said, don't you question my judgment. He says, I'm not questioning your judgment, but I am questioning your eyesight. And I was like, okay, now you're done. You know?
Whoa. Yeah, that was a curveball of his own right there.
That was
He
a
tried to hit
curveball of
you
his
with.
own. He knew he was
Nice.
going. He came out, he already handed up his lineup.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he gave you the wink, throw me out the game. Throw me out the
He
game.
gave me the old he goes, here it comes, you know. It's amazing. And sometimes some of these managers, they don't know when to stop. So sometimes you gotta let them know, hey, listen, we're gonna stop this argument and it's done. Anyway, listen, Chris, it's a pleasure having you on my show. I wish you a
Thank
lot
you
of
so
luck.
much for having me.
And everybody out there, we'll get you we'll start linking one day your clothing line email or something.
I love it. Yeah,
your
well,
website.
You can, my email is Christopher at Keep Pushing Clothing Co at the end.
Okay.
And we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all at the same thing. Keep Pushing Clothing Co.
Okay, so what's
company.
I mean, you know, the one thing I didn't say anything. What's the price point on a hat?
Well, right now, we started out at $29.99. I'm with the new hats. I'm gonna lower the original batch to $25.
Right.
Once the new hats are in. But you know, like I said, for you, just give me the address and I'll get you some gear to wear.
Okay.
And you know, I like I said, thank you so much for having me. I was humbled when I was asked, and I you know, super appreciative. Thank you very much for allowing me the time and the platform.
No, absolutely. You know, we're here to push baseball, but positivity and get a lot of other things out besides just baseball out there. Just let people know that it's a whole different world out there, and baseball is just a part of it. You know, it branches off from baseball. It branches off to anything else. And
Yeah, but what I think is great and unique is that what you had mentioned, what you tie in baseball into life, and I don't know that many people look at it that way. And I think that this podcast of yours gives them the opportunity to do just that. It's it's so much more than just a game if you paid attention.
Yeah, if you pay attention, and I always said there's a game within the game, and a lot of people don't understand that. You know, and it was one of those deals that when I was playing ball, that it was a blessing for me as an umpire because I could see the game developing within the game. So when I saw that runner at second base and I saw the way the batter put his foot, I was already observing. I already knew something's coming up, something's fishy. This guy's going to either steal, this guy's squaring up the bunt. I see the first baseman coming up and I'm already 2 steps ahead of them. So when they, because the umpire's worst enemy is surprise. That's our worst enemy. So when they did whatever they were going to do, I was already a step, I already knew what direction I was going. I'm going here and this is going to happen there and I'm already on it. So, I mean, and it's the same thing in life. I tell guys at work, listen, while you guys are playing checkers, I'm playing chess. So you guys got to get your stuff together because you worry about what's going on right now. I already took care of right now and I'm worrying about tomorrow's schedule and I'm looking at the next day's schedule. So I said at 12 o'clock, while you guys are trying to figure out what's going to happen at 4, I've already passed that. I already know what's going to happen tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And I'm looking at the next day, what's going to happen at 8 o'clock, so, and they sit there and they go, Rob, you're crazy. I might be, but you know what? When I'll never get yelled at by my boss. You know what I mean? He's going to say, well, this guy was on it. This guy's on it. He's already on it. And I'm already a day or two ahead of time, so don't play checkers, play chess out there. All right. Well, thank you, Chris, again. And as always, it's a pleasure. And keep pushing.
Thank you, my brother. So much.
All right. Have
Appreciate
a good one. All right, everybody. Keep subscribing, keep on, and keep looking. We got some big stuff coming up. Keep in touch. Thank you. God bless. Living the dream.